right, welcome back to Greenpoint. And for some reason, I keep wanting to say Sea Point. That's because that's where the SABC studios are. But no, we're actually at Greenpoint, Leanne.
We are sitting right next to the Greenpoint Stadium. It's absolutely wonderful to be here as we broadcast live from the McDonald's here in Greenpoint. And, you know, we have to just give a shout out to Mac Cafe. They have allowed us to follow this World Cup from the beginning all the way until the actual event. So, I mean, the fact that both SK and I are here and with the ability to broadcast from here and bring you the excitement, it has been an amazing journey. We followed that trophy around the country, showing different schools, different places. I even had the opportunity to play. It was humbling, but it was wonderful. So, I mean, we really had some fun in the run-up to this and building the excitement around the Netball World Cup. So it's been fantastic, and I know that this is going to culminate in a tournament that is going to be as fantastic.
And as we've been saying since the start, we've been on the road with Mac Cafe, and it was that build-up. Can you believe it?
No, I actually
It was
can't
the
believe
build-up
where we are.
on the road to the Netball World Cup, and here we are.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
I know, it happens. We've been talking about it for so long. Well, somebody who's lived netball and who continues to live netball, as excited as we are, I can only imagine how Jo Prins is feeling at the moment. A Baby Proteas star. This is a big moment for every Protea, former Protea player, somebody who is involved in netball, who loves netball. How are you feeling ahead of this?
I am beyond excited. To be honest, I don't even have the words to explain it. As a netballer, you didn't really think that something like this would happen. Having a Netball World Cup on home soil in Cape Town, in the mother city. So as a netballer, you are just jumping out of your skin, honestly.
I must say, Jo, I'm so excited to have you here because, you know, as Leanne was saying, as someone who follows netball, you were one of the ones, you know, that one had their eye on. And then, of course, Jo disappeared. And this is the serious part of netball. So, Jo, you took some time off. Before we get there, you know, Jo's not the only one, Leanne. And I think at some point we spoke about this, you and I, quite extensively about mental health issues. You remember the Naomi Osaka saga in the French Open, and so many athletes, you know, today having to deal with some of the pressures because it's immense. Because nowadays you literally are on a worldwide platform as an athlete, and there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. So for those of you who may not know, as Leanne said, a baby Bok here, Jo Prins with us. Jo, you were with the under 18s, you were with the under 21s, and as I said, you had to take time off. And I'm so glad that you're here. I'm glad to see you doing the things that you're doing, and I'm glad to see you coming back. So TNL next year?
Might be. I mean, I'm not going to give too much away, but I might be back on court soon, hopefully, God willing. But like you said, I did take some time away, and you mentioned prominent players like Naomi Osaka, a wonderful woman in sport doing many things for us, and someone so prominent taking a stand and being like, my mental health, I need to take a break. And also referring closer to home, Lenise Potgieter also shared with us her mental battles, and I feel like it's so important for us in sport. We have a platform to talk about the importance of mental health. I could have easily just stopped playing and not shared what I'm going through or why I'm stopping, but I feel like it's so important to speak up and, you know, share with people your struggles and your battles, because at the end of the day, we may be athletes and people sometimes think we are superhumans, but we are only human, and we do go through our own experiences, whether it be emotionally, whether it be, you know, psychologically, and it's a tough world to be in. Being an athlete in a high performance environment, there's a lot of pressures on you. You carry the pressure of not only yourself, but the people you play for, and then also the little kids watching you. And sometimes it's not a friendly environment. You know, we have social media. We have a lot of more feedback that we didn't have back in the day, where you can only read a rating in the paper. Now it's all over social media. And
everyone's an expert.
Anybody without a face can give you feedback. And it is a difficult environment. And for me personally, I went through things in my personal life that affected me, and that's the thing about being an athlete in a professional setup. It's not just about going to the gym. It's not just about taking your supplements. It's about your heart and your mind as well.
Yeah.
And the only way you can be successful is by being a holistic athlete. And I'm taking that holistic approach now. So when I do return, I return because I'm healthy in all aspects.
That's an amazing way of looking at it, because it is, sometimes you ignore that mental aspect of being on a global platform like this. And I would like to ask you, I mean, what do you think? And I said this to SK a bit earlier. In my mind, I'm wondering, how are the Proteas feeling right now? How do the team feel? Because this is a lot of pressure on them. We are talking about it and we're all excited. I'm sure they're excited, but at the same time, there are a lot of expectations and hopes on their shoulders right now.
So it's great having this home ground advantage, but that also gives an added pressure.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to disappoint the fans at home. So I think they're carrying more weight on their shoulders, especially looking at Bongi, our leader, our captain. She has so much pressure on her, but I know her so well and she is such a great leader. And I think what's happening now with the girls, I see them being even closer and, depending on each other a little bit more, because the pressure is high. It is extremely high and they are feeling it. Yes, they are excited. We are all very excited, but we all have expectations and they are aware of that. And not only us, the government, the management, everybody is expecting them, because we have invested a lot in them. There's a lot going into this World Cup.
Yeah.
So with that, you expect results, right?
Yeah.
So they're feeling the pressure, but they are more than prepared. They've been working so hard, not only now or the past couple of months, but the past couple of years, the entire cycle. I mean, I pulled out in the middle of the cycle, just when we started our camps again and going to trials. And I had to send in my little letter and say, I'm sorry, but for mental reasons, I have to pull out. And that just shows you kind of the pressure it is in that environment. So yes, it was other things that played a role in it as well, but it adds to the pressure you already feel in that environment, having to be successful.
And of course, the support that you've been able to receive, because again, it really warms my heart, looking at you, Jo, seeing what you're busy with and the inspiration that you draw. Because, I've been kind of trying to follow what you're doing, and you're drawing a lot of inspiration from the youngsters that you work with, but also they drawing a lot of inspiration from you. And I'm glad that, we could look at this in a positive light, because as you say, someone like Lenise Potgieter, and Lenise is of course pivotal to the squad and what we hope to achieve. And I was glad that, she also, like you, had the freedom to say, hey, hold up, I need to take a time out.
I agree with you, but I think the conversation of mental health in general has really become more prominent and more important, especially with us going through COVID, I have to bring it up, and lockdown. People started really looking inwards because you had more time to sit with yourself.
Too much time to think.
That's the
to
voice
be in
you
your own
heard
company
all the time, and you could only speak to yourself sometimes. And that's when you do that self-reflection, and then you kind of realize, oh, I'm sitting still, because we are in this busy world where we're constantly moving. So having time to sit still and look inwards, you realize, oh, wait a minute. Red flags, I have to do something about this. I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And what I think we're trying to say as athletes speaking out, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, 100%. And we all know that.
And doing other things as well, because you had Carla Pretorius, who took time out to have a baby. Like, she's like, no, hold up, stop. I'm going to have a baby. And she's
back.
She had the baby and she's back.
And
we've seen that with so many other players as well.
I think she didn't. Was it her that had a baby and came back and played?
Yes.
On the courts. I mean, there's a lot of tennis women that disappear, come back, and they do exceptionally well. And they think you're not allowed to have children. If you're a sports or an athlete, you can't do that. But those are things that you need to allow yourself to be able to do.
But netball has been fabulous in that regard. We have so many players as examples who have had babies and come back onto the tour. So, how is the support structure, Jo?
So I think firstly it starts within with just the girls amongst each other. I think there's always been this narrative of, women being jealous and catty, but actually in all the environments where I am in, where it is predominantly women, we are quite supportive of one another, and we have female empowerment, and we do encourage each other, and we do build each other up, and it is the support of your teammates firstly, and then that spreads out to the management. And the beautiful thing of the Protea setup for me, that is my favorite thing, is the GCT, which is God, Country, Team. And I think it comes back to when you play for something bigger than yourself, when you realize that all of this is much bigger than just you, it kind of has a different impact, and it also brings you back to the humanity of things, like, yes, I am in this national squad, I am in this national team, I am playing on the world stage, but there's something bigger than me, which is God. And then we're playing for our nation, we're making them proud, but also we're playing for our team. So it's never really a I thing, but yet inside we do encourage you to still be yourself and still look after yourself.
Amazing.
And I think that's the difference. And also we have safeguarding coming into play a lot more in all sports. So that's also something that NSA is working on currently, is the safeguarding program of having more supportive structures in play, which you can never have enough.
So nice. But listen, I'm so excited that we've got you working with SABC Sports.
Yeah,
so you're going to be a
yeah.
part of the SABC Sports teams. You'll be at some of the fan parks, which we were talking about with the MMC a little bit earlier. But before we sort of start wrapping up, what does the training schedule look like for the Proteas? Because I know I played a little. I was playing at my kid's school about 3 weeks ago. I literally played 10 minutes, and nearly died. It is one of the most intensive games to play. You don't stop. What does it look like? What do you do as a Protea when it comes to training?
So currently they're in the tapering phase because the tournament is starting. So they had about 2 training sessions a day and not as intense. But before that, it was a lot of training sessions. Usually you'll have 2 sessions, but a session will be around about like 4 hours. So you have a morning session, you go for a little break, lunch, some time to put your feet up because you don't want to do anything else. You don't want to move. And then you go back for another session. So the morning sessions would either be something like gym or fitness and skills. And then the afternoon session would be more court orientated things. But basically you're on your legs a lot and you put a lot of kilometers on it. And if you have a heart rate monitor, you are working very, very hard.
What are you hitting about?
Oh gosh, now you're putting me on the spot.
150, 140, 160. Are you playing at optimum levels all the time?
That's basically the thing.
And you're training 8 to 10 hours a day?
Yeah, when it's training camp and it's like the prep time, you're training about 8 hours a day. Yeah, and that would be for about 5-6 days, and then you have Sunday rest.
I was having this conversation with some of the boys in the office, and I said to them, you have no idea about the intensity. And I actually said to them, because they're not getting it, but they're getting into the netball vibe. And I said, go play 5 minutes. And they're like, what's 5? I'm like, go play 5 minutes.
And come and talk
not
to
more,
us.
5 minutes. Hey! Someone shouting out there to us anyway.